So guys, I don't really know what you expect here. You think that I'm gonna come on here and rant and rave about how they ruined the Fiend? You think I'm gonna pull like a Meltzer, or am I going to pull a JD or something like that? Or like one of the numerous wrestling blogs or YWC channels. Do you think I'm going to do that? No, because I've been telling you since last year, the Fiend was practically ruined from the start, because I said there's no reason to get excited for any character or talent in WWE. They're not invested in building new stars. They've outright told you, Triple H has said he's not interested in building new stars, which kind of makes these shows pointless to review anyway. Because I said, like, when you really think about reviewing these shows, you're just kind of, setting it up from the beginning to know that it's going to be a bad show, that it's going to be a failure, that you're not going to get what you want out of it. Sometimes you get an illusion, sometimes they get the odd, decent show in, like the Royal Rumble. Because, why? Because, well, you had a largely established star in there, which greatly helped the event. Okay, it might have not been the only thing, but let's face it, Edge has, been a big part of WWE's history. Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, you name it. He's been through a lot, and he's added a lot of moments to WWE that are unforgettable. But following the Rumble hype, what's happened? He hasn't been on the show in like a month. So, take that for what you will. I've already said this. I already said, let's see what's going to happen, and usually what that means is brace yourself for impact. So we'll get to it. We'll get to the Fiend Goldberg match, but let's go through the matches and the moments like we normally do, and we'll get there. So we start off with the gauntlet match, the Mount Whatever match. It's some random trophy, and I don't know what it is about every single time they're in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if, the Saudi king likes tournaments. He has an asphyxiation with tournaments. He's got to have tournaments. If he doesn't get tournaments, then he's, he just can't go home happy, can't sleep at night. He's tossing and turning. Oh, hey, I gotta have tournaments. Hey, I gotta, it's just, you gotta have them on the show. It's something has to be. It's either gotta be a big cup, or like this, it's gotta be some big rock-looking thing, whatever it was, supposed to be a piece of the mountain from which it was named after. I don't know, but we've got R-Truth kicking things off. He changed up the rap a little bit. I think it might have been some lyrics from his new single that he released. He defeats Bobby Lashley in probably like the lamest fashion. He goes into the ring post, then he falls over Truth, and Truth pins him. Okay, you could say like a bit of a comedy spot, not particularly funny, but I said I'm not an R-Truth hater by any means. I think that this guy has a lot of charisma. He's one of the few that has a character on the show. He seems like he puts, a total 110% into everything he does. So I can't really knock the guy. Still in great shape, which is more than what I could say for Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe and a host of others. Or I should say a hostess of others, Twinkies, ring-dings, you name it. But, I digress. So the next competitor comes out, and it's Andrade. To, like, no fanfare. And then they just kind of, Andrade comes out, oh, the next person's Andrade. Like, Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, Corey Graves, they're all downplaying it. Now, what's the point of that? Like, every single time somebody gets suspended, they have to like pretend like it wasn't a wellness violation. Just say that the guy is back from a suspension. You've got everyone with a social media account, all these wrestlers have social media accounts, so like we already know what happened. You know, they're just trying to play up, you know, Carrillo hitting him with the DDT on the concrete, which barely anybody even remembers. I got a kick out of how they were like, oh, there's Andrade, he's back. Like, kind of like they did that on purpose to punish him for being suspended. Like, yeah, remember this guy? Like, so what do? They have him and R-Truth smack heads. The U.S. champion, mind you, he still has the belt. They still didn't take it off of him, right? Even though he hasn't defended it in over 30 days. And R-Truth just falls on top of him. It, like, in, you know, again, another comedy spot. Like, I get it. Like, I know he's supposed to be a comedy wrestler. He's a sideshow act. But every single finish has to be some type of, you know, goofball finish. Like, it's like, don't you think this guy's given enough to WWE where maybe they could try to maybe treat him with a little bit of respect where he doesn't have to act like an idiot every 2 seconds? Like, he's giving it his all. You know, he's trying very hard to act like an idiot and succeeding, and it has gotten over to a degree, but, I mean, is the guy allowed to have some self-respect? Because the funny thing is, he doesn't look like goofball, yet they have him act like one. Then Rowan gets disqualified for smacking him in the head with the steel steps. AJ comes out, he taps out R-Truth. Then it's Rey Mysterio's turn, but Rey Mysterio's gotten beaten down by the OC backstage. Then all of a sudden, you see Gallows and Anderson get like flung across the room, and someone with black boots and a trench coat walks, and we all know it's Taker. Taker comes out. Taker takes 20 years to get to the ring. The show, like, you know, it must have been expanded, you know, for maybe an extra hour with the entrance. But, you know, once again, you know, it's good to see Taker and everything. Taker comes out. One choke slam puts AJ down. He pins him, and that's it. Like, and okay, so he's won the gauntlet. So, like, all right, so that definitely made the match feel more special, definitely, than it was if it was just AJ or Rey Mysterio winning the trophy. Like, it even matters, you know. So I will say that it was cool to see Taker. The dynamic with him and AJ was pretty cool. You know, that's something we haven't seen before. You know, I don't know about Undertaker being in there with AJ. Like, if that's really, like, a match that is believable. Like, first of all, people are saying they want to see this match. Why? Like, what is the point of having this match if we already obviously know who's going to win it? Like, it's one thing doing Reigns and Taker or, you know, somebody else, because we honestly don't know who's going to win it. That's up in the air, right? So this one, we already know. Who's going to win it? Is it going to be Undertaker, who we haven't seen in a while, or is it going to be AJ? You know, who's not even considered to be one of the top guys at the moment. You know, I kind of felt like on Raw when he came out and started talking about all those legends and running down the list, you know, like 2 weeks ago, I was kind of like, you know, like, you're really getting, like, you know, big for your britches out of nowhere for, like, not even being booked in anything important on the show. Like, this is the thing. He's put in the club because they have to do the New Japan thing. We got to do the Bullet Club, the best thing ever. When, you know, I gotta say, I have seen things with the Bullet Club, and it's probably the most wannabe Smarkish thing I've ever seen. Like, they have no shame in admitting that they are like an NWO, Wolfpack, whatever you want to consider it, ripoff. And, you know, it's and without, like, the big names in there, without the Scott Halls, the Kevin Nashes, you know, who did you get? You know, Finn Balor, Cody Rhodes. Like, yeah, those are great replacements for all the top name talent that they had in the NWO. Okay, so, it's lame, but, you know, now they go back and call it the OC, the original club. You know, like, there's nothing like calling your show an early 2000s reality show. Like, that, seriously, like, when I hear the OC, that's the only thing I think of when they talk about that. You know, I think of Orange County. Like, that's basically what I think of when I hear that. But, you know, so AJ Taker, it just doesn't seem like a believable match to me. It's not, it's like I wouldn't mind seeing it Mania. It's definitely going to be better than almost anything they booked last year. Like, I'm just going to say it right now. This Mania seems like it's going to be better than last year's Mania. I could at least say that. Aside from the Baszler and Becky stuff and the, you know, I think it should be I'm expecting it to be a decent show. I don't think it really looks like it's going to be a horrible Mania. I think it's probably going to be an uneventful one. Like, it's not going to be one we'll be remembering for ages and ages. But I think it will at least be, if not way better, somewhat better. It'll at least a smidge better. It would be really hard for it to, they'd really have to try very hard to get it to be worse than last year's, which was abysmal. It was Smark Mania the whole way through, which made me take a break for, you know, almost for how many months. I wasn't doing reviews, and still the reviews are inconsistent on this channel. Thanks to that show. You can all thank WrestleMania 35 for that one, okay? What do we got up next? Miz and Morrison defeated New Day to win the tag titles. I enjoyed this. I thought it was actually a pretty, like, you know, well done match. It's just, here's the thing. Okay, at least it doesn't seem like they're gonna do the New Day Uso thing for the 1,000th time like they were kind of building towards on SmackDown, which is good. Like, we don't want to see another one of those. But they'll probably do some triple threat thing or a 4-way. So, and that's the thing. Like, we already have seen so many 8-mans, 6-mans, 10-mans, 12-mans, 14-mans, all these multi-man matches, right? You know, and you're going to then hit us with another one probably at Mania. It's like, at what point did they realize that everything just looks the same? It's just a bunch of guys flying all over the place. So it was nice to see just a more basic tag match here for a change, because I feel like we hadn't seen one of these in a while. And, you know, I'm a big fan of Morrison. I'm a fan of Miz. I like Big E. Kofi's okay now that he's not in the world title picture anymore. Like, that's an afterthought. Like, if you watch this show and you didn't watch last year at all, you would have no idea that Kofi Kingston was a world champion, would you? You'd have no indication of it. I guess that's a good thing for people like me that didn't think it was a good idea to give him the belt, and they didn't really reap any benefits from it. You know, they made like it was going to be a good thing, you know, giving it to a black wrestler, and they had this whole inspirational story. But like I said, it was a mistake. Okay, sometimes you fall into successful things, but there was no indication. The ratings continued to plummet. Okay, that's not just Kofi's fault. I said that a number of times. But, like, people were saying that this was going to be best for business. You know, remember that? How many years ago Triple H was responsible for coining that phrase, it's best for business, when basically every time he said that on TV, they were making some pointless match that, you know, didn't even matter and wasn't going to affect ratings, which in turn would mean that it wasn't really best for business. It wasn't good for anybody. So I enjoyed this little tag match. Garza defeated Carrillo. You know, okay, Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, like, they keep having these matches, and this one ends the same way. You know, instead of him pinning him with this type of cradle, he pins him with this cradle. It was like a reverse of the same thing, and he still didn't even cheat to win. And Carrillo is like selling the victory the same way. He's like grabbing his hair and bunching it up, and like he looks like a mental patient. Like, seriously, I get it. Like, he's supposed to be holding, so like, oh man, I can't believe it. But seriously, if I'm surprised he didn't start rocking back and forth in the ring. Like, it's so cartoonish. Like, it's just, no one does this stuff. Like, just, like, and first of all, we already saw this match. It already finished clean. There was no tight pulling, so, you know, Garza beat him. And they have nothing planned for these guys. They're cousins, so they're just going to keep doing rematch after rematch. You know, watch, on Raw, they're going to do another rematch probably between them. Or have, like, a tag team. Maybe it's going to be Andrade thrown in there, I would think, now that he's back. So maybe now they got Garza on there. And Garza probably wouldn't even be there if Andrade didn't get suspended. So he's going to now come back, and he's going to have his clone there. That's the other thing I'm thinking about. Andrade returned, and they just throw him in a random, like, gauntlet match. And it's like, if he's supposed to be a surprise entrant in that, again, you have to stress, like, they didn't even sound surprised or anything. Moifi and Rollins defeated the Street Profits. This was boring. I just want to tell you guys, I am so happy that, like, when you watch this on your computer, I think you could do this also on the Xbox. You could keep fast forwarding 10 seconds. So you could kind of just see each thing, like, boom, 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 boom. So if, like, boring, 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 skip this, you know. So we already kind of knew that they're not going to give it to the Street Profits. They're really boring. Angelo Dawkins just seems out of shape. This Montez Ford is just a spot monkey. We saw on Raw, like, this guy took, I still can't believe he took Rollins to the limit. The guy who, like, squashed Brock at Mania last year is having a problem with this guy. A guy who's, like, even a lot smaller than Rollins. It's not like Rollins is even gigantic. Mansoor defeated Ziggler, so it's that time of the year again. We gotta wheel this guy out. Like, I feel like Mansoor, like, he spends the entire year, like, is this guy even in NXT? I don't know where they get this guy. They like, I feel like they have him, like, wrapped in bubble wrap, and they, like, keep him in a storage facility somewhere in Saudi Arabia. Or like, maybe they keep him over in Connecticut. Or maybe he's down there at the, what is it called? The, you know, the training facility of the development center or whatever it is. Do they have him down there, and like they kind of like wheel him out and say, all right, it's time, Mansoor, it's time to go to Saudi Arabia. You ready there, buddy? Or they keep him like in cryostasis or something like that. I don't know. I find the bubble wrap idea to be funnier, but like, I feel like, yeah, like they put this guy in storage or something. I don't know. Maybe they rent them out like one of those storage, you know, garages, you know, those little storage cubes or something like that. Because, like, where is this guy? There was no build for him on TV. They just kind of bring him out, and, you know, they bring out a talented wrestler. Like, last time it was Cesaro. This time it was Ziggler. And they just get a guy that's, like, good for bumping. Ziggler, like, made this guy look really good. And Mansoor's, like, nothing special. You know, he's just kind of, like, whatever. And, you know, what does he do here? He comes down, and didn't he, like, hit his knees? Yeah, he hit his knees right into Ziggler. And they're like, oh, right with the knees. He, like, botches the moonsault. He tries to go for it way too far out. And, yeah, there you go. So, like, he might have just injured Ziggler's ribs. But, yeah, inspirational speech. And, like, I don't get it. Like, okay, I get he's connecting with the Saudi crowd. They want to have a guy that's, you know, a countryman of theirs. But he's not even anybody. He's Mansoor. Oh, wow. You know, like, he's the Hulk Hogan of Saudi Arabia. Like, I don't get it. Like, these are, like, big, rabid WWE fans, supposedly, over there. Don't they watch every week and see that this is just some random dude they bring out just to cater to them? guess they don't care or whatever. I mean, it's just really odd to me that, like, once they get on the plane, it's time to bring this guy out of nowhere. I guess it wasn't really a bad match or anything. I mean, Ziggler made him look good. Lesnar defeats Ricochet in like in a minute, maybe. Was that the length of the match? I didn't really look at like what Keller wrote there, but this was hilarious. I was laughing at the end of this match because people are like, they're like, oh no, Ricochet deserves it. And everyone was expecting that they were kind of getting to get the same thing that Finn Balor got. Like, they tried to sell that idea on TV. Oh, he has problems with smaller guys. Like, okay, the big muscle-bound Lesnar that usually has a size advantage is having trouble. Like, okay, with AJ Styles, I get it. I'd even give it to Daniel Bryan because at least that guy has some MMA training. Even during the last fight he had with him at Survivor Series, right? That was even a little bit unbelievable back in 2018, the way how, you know, he just beats Bryan down, beats the living daylights out of him, and then Bryan's able to make a comeback. It was still a good match, but, you know, here they made it as realistic as could be. Ricochet rushes him, goes for a drop kick. Lesnar swats him away. He like does a front suplex, throws him down, grabs him with a few Germans, then hoists him up with a F5, and that was it. He just bends him, and I was like, wow. And I have to kind of wonder, like, what was the point of that? But it was funny because I guess that's the idea. They were like, oh yeah, you think that we're gonna let this guy get as much offense in on Brock as you know, as we did with Balor. Balor's over there in NXT. Like, Balor looked like he was about to win the championship at the Rumble last year. And what happened, you know, what happens now, fast forward an entire year. A guy about the same exact size, maybe smaller even, just totally got crushed. And it was believable, but at the same time, I have to say, like, you had this guy beat Bobby Lashley, also beat Seth Rollins, the guy who beat Lesnar in 5 minutes, and then he just loses in a few seconds. So it's kind of like, I don't mean to like micromanage this and start like doing Scott Steiner math, you know, here, and like break it down with equations and get my abacus out and start sliding things from side to side for you, but it's just like, okay, I just kind of felt like there could have been something more worthwhile on the card, like, I don't know, Bobby Lashley and Lesnar, which would have been an awesome match to see. Okay, there would have been crappy build-up, but at least we would have got a match that would have been better. They could have cut down on the gauntlet stuff that didn't even matter. Get rid of the Garza thing that no one even cared about. The Street Profits didn't need to be there, so you had time to have a great match there. Roman and Baron Corbin, the steel cage. I like this match. I thought, like, this is to me like enjoyable. Like, this was just a nice match that like didn't have to be over the top. You could argue it was formulaic, but it worked. Like, just, you know, there was a story there with the chain. Chain gets implemented into the finish. That was pretty cool. I like to actually see that Roman ended the match with the Superman punch. You know, people are going to keep knocking Corbin, but Corbin is, you know, he's performing better. Like, this is a guy that, you know, he gets in there. He doesn't botch anything. He looks good. You could say he looks crisp in there, guys. You know, however you want to put the terminology together. He looks good in there. And I thought that match flowed pretty well. It's, you know, nowadays people expect a breakneck pace with 1,000 moves, and sorry, but this just kind of made a lot more sense. I'd rather watch this than Garza versus Humberto for the 1,000th time, but that's just me. But I enjoyed it. I'm just kind of happy a little bit too that we get to move on from this. I just hope that Corbin doesn't go back to feuding with smaller guys again, which is pointless. Bayley comes out. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention Lana when she came out with Lashley. She was all dressed up in the she had the hijab on and everything. It was like all gold, and I don't get like why she had to wear that, but Bayley and Naomi didn't. But anyway, so they wrestled this match, and you know they got their hair out and everything. So I guess whatever, it's allowed, or they didn't mind it. But they've got their oversized t-shirts on, you know, and they're just like wearing like their normal like tights, leggings, whatever. And so the the finish was the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. Bayley like does an Indian deathlock type of thing. She crosses Naomi's legs together, tucks her legs into her oversized t-shirt, and then she like grabs her like by the neck and starts doing a submission move. Like Naomi's legs were trapped in her t-shirt, and hearing Michael Cole and the rest of the announce goofs like try to put this over was the saddest thing I've ever. Her legs are caught in her t-shirt, guys. Like I'm like I just wanted to like take my hand and slap all three of their faces, like, you know, like boom, just in a continuous motion. Like, it's just, that's such a dumb finish. Like, implementing a t-shirt into a finish. It's t-shirt time, guys. Remember that from Jersey Shore? You don't? Okay, well, anyway, if you do, you probably get the joke. If you don't, then, you know, but how ridiculous can you possibly get implementing the t-shirt into the finish? Yeah, and I'm sure we're gonna sell this as Monumento, making history once again. Then we get an update that Beth is going to give us an update on Edge on Monday. So we're still not gonna get Edge, but we're gonna get his wife. And you know, it's like, why is Edge not there? What's the point of all these updates? Is like, why can't Edge be on the show? Is there a reason? Are they trying? I bet if you ask them, they're like trying to build suspense. Kind of like what they did with Sting. Oh, we don't want to book him for every show. We don't want to do that. We want it to feel special. Same thing with Lesnar. Oh, we only want to pay him for certain dates. We want it to feel special. It's like, guys, you don't really have the chance to really make things feel special anymore. Between last year and you know, in the present day, you've lost 700,000 viewers according to the ratings. So like, making things feel special by not having things happen when things don't already happen on the show. Like, I don't know, I'm looking at Raw. It really seemed like they could have used Edge there. You know, okay, granted, it would have been unannounced and everything, but it is supposed to, you know, I know they're going to have him come out there when we least expect it, and then it's going to be at the point where nobody, like, they've actually made people not even care about Edge anymore, because you know, it's like they saw him at the Rumble, they saw him on Raw, they tuned in, they got a ratings jump, and then they tuned in, the next week he wasn't there, the next week he wasn't there, next week he wasn't there. So it's like, why would people keep tuning in? Just to keep getting disappointed? Then in the main event, it was Goldberg defeating the Fiend to win the WWE Championship. And everyone on the internet is losing their minds. Oh my God, the Fiend is ruined. They buried the Fiend. Guys, honestly, I hate to be on this side of the camp, but you've got to be kidding me. And I'm going to hit you with something that also the other people are not even saying. Even my friend over on Instagram, Burying the Smarks, hasn't even said this. This is my problem that I have with the Smarks. This is my problem I have with the fans over this. You want to hear my take? Here we go, folks. Here we go. Alright, so I have been saying since, what was it? April, May, or something of 2019, that this character was simply not going to work. I said, is there potential? Is there something there maybe? I didn't really like it at first. It looked kind of goofy. It was interesting, a little cringy, but I started warming up to it. I even started warming up to the Fiend. I was like, I don't know, putting a mask on this guy, is this really what we want to do after having this guy, you know, visible to us since 2013? And we know what he looks like. We're gonna like start doing alter egos now just because they couldn't figure out how to write for a great character like Bray Wyatt. Also, you know, you had just so many great opportunities with Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt to have so many genius, hilarious segments. Like, this is something that even smart culture, which I mean is what culture if you didn't get my drift there. That was something that I remember even Adam, the lead guy at What Culture, like, I remember when he was like, you know, what was it? The final deletion. No one even understood. What was it? What the one word was called in TNA? Was that the WWE version? Whatever it was. The one where Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, you know, wrestled in the ring, you know, on the Matt Hardy estate. You know, that right there, like, that was such a good piece of television. That was such a great segment. It was one of the best things I've seen in years out of wrestling. And it didn't even come from WWE. It came from Impact Wrestling, of all places. The last place you'd expect to see quality. But, you know, you had Jeremy Borash, Matt Hardy getting together, collaborating with a great idea. Most of it was Matt Hardy. You know, you had the production being aided by Jeremy Borash a little bit there. And it ended up being a masterpiece, or at least a really good piece of television, a really good segment, a couple of great segments, and a great character. Impact had one of the most over characters, probably more over than any talent that WWE had. I mean, maybe that's a little inaccurate to say because of the low ratings that they got, but they did actually get higher ratings with Matt being on the show doing that character. That had been proven. At least they managed to get like a few, you know, 100,000 more people. So it was impressive what Matt Hardy was able to do. He was able to reinvent himself after years without really doing all that much. So they get this in WWE with way more money, way more ability to produce even better segments, and they botched it. And then they have him interact with probably the best other character that he could ever interact with, which would be Bray Wyatt. And they ruined that too. They just had no idea what to do. They even had Michael Cole actually apologize for the segment that they even produced. So then you fast forward about a year or so, and then we've got The Fiend. And I sat here on YouTube and I made a video. You can go back and watch it. I said, this ain't gonna work. This just ain't gonna work. It might be a good idea. I'm sure Bray is a smart fella. You know, the way how he portrayed his initial character was great. The guy knows, you know, he's a star. He looks like a star. He acts like a star. I've said it 1,000 times, right? So I was blue in the face. But I said, WWE is not behind this guy. You need to have the creative behind you or you're doomed to fail. On a scripted show, if they don't write you into the segments to be successful, Vince Russo has said it 1,000 times, there's no way you're going to be able to win. When creative is against you, you've lost. When you don't have Vince behind you, when you don't have creative behind you, when creative's not there to write you a good story, even the best character in the world is going to have a tough time on the show. Now, you know, you'll see flashes of brilliance here and there because, you know, things are kind of shining through the cracks, you know, but you've got the barricade of creative just blocking that beautiful rainbow from pouring through. It's a metaphor. Anyway, but, you know, obviously they were trying to kill Bray's shine right from the start, and they were succeeding. You know, we get the Hell in a Cell match. That was the perfect opportunity to give Bray the belt. They do some wonky finish that upsets the whole crowd. They don't go out there and restart the match and try to right the wrongs. No, what they do is they save it for the Saudi show where we're at right now, and they give it to Bray then, when basically no one even cares anymore. And then his reign is insignificant. He's just kind of coasting along, not really doing a whole lot, you know. He gets in a feud with the Miz. He kidnapped, you know, they make like he's going to you know, do something to the daughter. He leaves the doll in the crib with her, and it's like, you know, that was basically it. That's about the epitome of where it got to with Bray. I thought it was getting a little silly, a little bit hokey, but all right, you know, they're trying. I just didn't care. Once again, I said I noticed it's not going to go anywhere, and it didn't. The Miz is in a tag team. He's completely forgotten about what Bray has done to his daughter. Okay, so we fast forward again. He has a match with Daniel Bryan. We literally don't even see like anything out of the Fiend with that. It's just side-by-sides with Goldberg, side-by-sides with Hogan. The Fiend's not doing anything with this world title run. They gave him a belt. They had nothing planned. It was just like, oh, you guys want him to be the champ? Here you go. And they gave him the belt. They had nothing planned. Just some boring, you know, like, not boring matches, but just boring stories and uninspired segments and just, you know, basically half-assing everything. Not giving Bray the opportunity he needs to apply his character and his craft properly. And, of course, you know, Bray gets on social media, because this is what they do now. You know, even someone as brilliant as Bray starts complaining, starts acting out of character. You know, okay, so maybe social media has ruined that for every wrestler. Has killed kayfabe indefinitely. But, you know, Bray is like working for a company, and you're tweeting about your job and like how bad of a job they're doing. But, like, it's like, why doesn't he just go to creative? Like, doesn't anyone there like have any balls to go to creative and like just say like, this sucks, like this is not good, you're not treating my character the right way, you're making me look like a goof on TV. Like, if they're really that unhappy, if they're, you know, unhappy just getting a payday and they really care about their craft, like, express your ideas, say that you're not happy with it. But instead, go on social media, and then you just bitch there, basically. You just complain, and that's all that happens, you know. And lo and behold, they get Goldberg for Saudi, and here's the match, and Goldberg beats the Fiend in 3 minutes. Hits him with 4 spears, a jackhammer. It's done. Am I unhappy about this? No, because why would I be unhappy? We know what I'm unhappy about is that they took someone like Bray Wyatt and they hadn't done anything with him in years. And, you know, and they had an opportunity with another character here for him where Bray had big ideas and they wouldn't give it the time of day. They were just like, we'll do it our way, and we'll do it the normal, sloppy, half-assed way. And that's what they did. And so you can't really be that surprised. Like, first of all, this wasn't a great title run. It was, you know, a title run that was making me sleepy-eyed, that made me uninterested, right? Even, like, you saw, like, right after the Fiend won the title, I basically, like, took a break a week after from watching the trash, because it was just, like, you know, there's nothing to it. You know, he won, and he's immediately not, you know, he's gonna, like, you know, mess with Daniel Bryan and then completely forget about him. They're gonna postpone the match and then do something else, and just like they had nothing planned. And so I'm not disappointed. I'm disappointed in them because I obviously see that they have no plans for the future, but they've already expressed this. They don't want to build new stars. Yes, Goldberg's got the belt. I'm looking forward to, if they do a Roman Reigns and Goldberg match, I'd be into that. I'd be into seeing it. It definitely would be a lot more exciting than seeing Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan wrestle. It would definitely be, it would be a lot more exciting than seeing Seth Rollins squash Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes in the opening match. I'd say it's better, wouldn't you? But people are crying their eyes that they ruined the Fiend, they buried the Fiend. First of all, the guy who's been buried since basically day one, right? They had Cena trounce all over him. You know, they killed him basically right there. From the moment he walked through the doors, they didn't do anything with him. They were just kind of like randomly doing things with him, like Kane here, Daniel Bryan recruitment thing here. You know, it just, Bray was never sticking. Like I said, there was moments of brilliance shining through, but you saw, like, this is a guy that was in position to win the world title basically from the moment he stepped in there, like, into the company. You looked at him and obviously the guy stood out. You were like, this is a cult leader. Why not make this guy a main eventer? Why not make him a world champion? They didn't have anything else exciting going for them at the time. And so, you know, what did they do? They broke up the Wyatt family 1,000 times, put them back together. They finally gave him the belt like 4 years later, 4 years too late. Then they had Orton beat him 1 month later, and nothing really came of that. And, you know, basically we're back to where we started with Bray. But this doesn't surprise me. Like, if you're seriously sitting here doing a video saying what they did was wrong and the backlash is well deserved, well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's not good that they don't have any hope for the future, that they don't think that they can't always count on Lesnar. They can't always count on Goldberg to show up. They can't count on these guys because they're not going to be around forever. You know, these guys that they gotten over years ago, like, you know, honestly, like, what do they think? Why do they think that no one cares about any of these other guys? Because they really haven't given a reason to. You know, even when they give these guys a world title, like I mentioned Kofi Kingston before, they're like put on the back burner, like they're like, next, you know, it's like a deli line basically. It's like the world, you know, you get the world title and they take it off of you and then it's quickly forgotten about it. It's on to the next flavor of the month. So, but I'm not going to sit here and complain and act like it's something surprising and that he was buried, because he wasn't buried. You know what happened? They had Bray lose, but this is just basically Bray remains where he's always been. He's always been just that token guy on the roster where, you know, they could count on him to do a decent segment, cut a good promo, but at the end of the day, it's like they're not really too invested in this character to really go the extra mile or make him feel special. He's just a side attraction. And they just happen to give him the world title because, and that's the funny thing, the fans always complain, they never give us what we want, when WWE's basically given everything that the fans have asked for. Kofi Kingston is champion. They've given you longer matches so long that it's unbelievable. You know, you got more high spots. You got the NXT guys getting pushed. I mean, we even wasted a match having Ricochet face Brock, and that was a meaningless match. It's hilarious, but you get my point. Like, they had Ricochet go over other guys that could believably beat him, and he gets all the way here to even be booked in the match on the pay-per-view. So that has to mean something. So, but anyway, Goldberg winning, do I mind? No, I don't, because I really don't care. Like, if that means that, you know, like, to tell you the truth, I really rather see Goldberg versus Reigns than the Fiend versus Reigns, because I just think there's a more interesting dynamic with Reigns and Goldberg with the spear versus spear thing. As simple-minded as that sounds, because Goldberg is more established. You know what I mean? At this stage, he has more credibility. That's their fault, because that's what I'm saying. Bray doesn't have any credibility. He's a great character, a great talent. He tries his heart out. He's a creative genius. He knows what he's doing. He looks like a star. He acts like a star. He's got all the trimmings, all the makings, everything you could want in a big superstar. But they don't see it. So it's like, I'm not surprised, because I've been saying it. I'm not going to be surprised when everything just completely hits the fan and it just turns to complete garbage. And that's exactly what happened. They took the title off of him. He's an afterthought. Just give it to Goldberg. You know what I mean? Just give it to a guy who's more over, who's more established, and we'll get more eyes on him. Because that's the thing. People are going to hear that Goldberg is going to be main eventing Mania, and probably more people will watch versus, oh, the Fiend is main eventing. Who? See what I mean? Anyway, guys, there's your review. I know a lot of people are going to be mad and thumb down the video probably because I said that, but that's truly how I feel. I'm not going to get on here, oh my god, this is horrible. Bray Wyatt got buried. Goldberg's an old man. Oh, no, we're not doing that here, because that's not how I feel. And that would be inaccurate, because I would be acting surprised. I would be acting like it was a travesty. It's nothing really has changed that much. It's just a prop being changed hands, and there's no big shift. You know, if Bray was on the top of the world and, you know, the ratings were soaring and Bray was doing an incredible, you know, Rock type of like ratings, you know, pull and everything, and they just stripped him off the belt and just put it on Goldberg out of nowhere, like, then I'd say, like, yeah, that's something that needs to be talked about and ranted on. But here it's like, okay, this is just what they do. You know, the belt is meaningless. It hasn't meant anything in a long time. Like I said, someone wins it, Kofi Kingston, back burner almost immediately. And what do? Put it right back on Brock, because that's the established guy. That's the guy who's got more credibility. And it's more believable that someone like that would be champion. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, I'll see you next time.